Reporting tonight live from London. Phil, thank you. Andrij Dobriansky is an executive board member for the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America. Andrij, what do you make of this?
Yeah, it's going back to basics for Putin. First, initially, it reeks of a gangland style murder, a message murder. This was 200 meters from the walls of the Kremlin. This is area that is territorially occupied by the FSB. Nothing happens 200 meters from the White House without the Secret Service knowing anything about it.
And 200 meters from the White House, as I'm sure I think is the case as was told from the Kremlin, there are surveillance cameras.
Yes,
so you would think it would be very easy for investigators to piece together the videotapes and try to make an identification on who did this.
The other thing is to try to blame it on organized crime is kind of a misnomer, because organized crime works hand in hand with the government of Vladimir Putin. That's always been the case, and that's one of the things that Ukraine has been fearing with the influx of organized crime into Crimea. This is really going back to basics. So if you look at the beginning, the rise of Vladimir Putin, you look at one of the first major murders, Galina Starovoytova. She was a reformer in the parliament who was killed, and to this day, even though Putin says he's going to personally oversee, to this day, he was the head of the KGB, the FSB at that point, and still has not solved that murder. She was a message murder to show the world and to show Russia itself that we're going back to basics. We're going to push down on the reformists.
But what about the possibility that, look, this is an opposition figure, just as, for example, Yitzhak Rabin, the former leader of Israel, was assassinated by somebody from the far right. He was at odds, Rabin was at odds with Netanyahu at the time, and yet there was somebody who took it into his own hands to silence him. What about that this is just some crazy person who's sympathetic to Putin, who recognizes this opposition figure and takes matters into his own hands?
You still have to look at the entire record. It's not like this is the first opposition leader who has been killed. It's been year after year for over a decade that opposition leaders have been killed. It could be Galina Starovoytova, it could be Anna Politkovskaya, who was investigating as a journalist the bombing of Russian apartment buildings as an excuse of going to war in Chechnya. Or more importantly, I would look at the case of Litvinenko. Alexander Litvinenko, who was poisoned while in London by Russian polonium. Instead of extraditing the person that Britain believes has been responsible, that person was instead elected to parliament, and Russia has thumbed its nose at the world, saying that this person has parliamentary immunity and not going to investigate it further.
How does Nemtsov's death, though, help Putin? If somebody was gaming this out and thinking, okay, maybe this, I mean, what would the answer be?
Well, I like to say, never look at the person who's acting illogically for a logical answer. So what I can take from this is just the message of it, just the message of the fact that you have Navalny now in prison 2 days before the big protest, and now you have Nemtsov dead. You don't have any other political leader of that stature left in Russia. You have to go to Kasparov, who's outside. You have to go to Khodorkovsky. At this point in Russia, he's either killing the people off or imprisoning them and consolidating control.
Andrij Dobriansky, an executive board member of the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America. Thank you, Andrij. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Police